Good evening. This is Duane Lowry for the DPP Grain Desk on Sunday, June 16th. It's very late compared to when I normally do these videos. It's currently 9:33 at night. I apologize for the disruption of timing. Normally I try to make this a Sunday night outlook, get it out before the markets open on Sunday night, but had travel plans. My oldest son graduated from college, so we basically just got home. So I'm not going to spend any time talking about what I expect tonight per se for an opening, obviously, because we're already open. Just to put into context of where markets are when I'm talking here, we've got wheat down 5 1/4, corn down a penny in the July, down 5 1/2 in D's. Beans are down basically 14 cents, just to give you a context. And we opened lower. We didn't open that week, but we did open lower. We've kind of stagnated after the first few minutes. Basically, pretty much got to these lows in the day relatively quickly. But I think we want to step back and talk about things in context. Interesting tonight, I think everybody figured we would be lower, and I think most people thought we'd be lower for varied reasons. They looked at weather as being bearish, and I would agree with that to a certain extent. But here, listen to the type of comments. People expected the markets to be down tonight based on weather. And why on weather? Because we're going to get the final acres planted in corn. We're going to finish up in beans and things of this nature. This is the 16th day of June. Somehow I find it difficult to think that because we're going to finish planting or get an opportunity to plant on the 16th day of June is bearish. I find that difficult to embrace. I also find it difficult to embrace that in the case of corn, we're already on somewhat of a sell-off here. And I think that this could easily be a trap. The other reason people wanted to be bearish tonight based on weather, and I think there's a certain amount, here again, there's a certain amount of truth to it. Weather's going to improve, temperatures are going to warm, the crop's going to begin to develop, and it's going to look better, and so that's bearish. There's a certain amount of truth to that. But when you consider where we're improving from, I think you need to take a look at the horizon. If you're in an agricultural area, you look at the horizon and say, okay, how does the crop look on June 16th? You're going to find some crops being replanted. You're going to find some that are just emerging. You're going to find other crops that are doing well. You're going to find some strips in the field where you see the tile lines, and the spots in between the tile line aren't very good. And you're going to find areas where the corn is light colored, clearly showing early season moisture stress. And all of this takes place in a backdrop of very, very late planting and slow, even worse, slow crop development. So for June 16th, we are off to a very poor start. Now, these type of conditions in terms of the planting date and slow development may not be an automatic, guaranteed significant reduction in yield potential, but it is a type of crop condition. These early season wetness problems are difficult to overcome, and you will not fully overcome them. They are going to ensure a loss of production potential, and then we're going to have to find out what kind of growing season we have from here forward. But our pollination dates are going to get pushed back, so we got a lot of time here where the marketplace could develop some sort of anxiety about the uncertainty of the future and the uncertainty of acreage and how many acres of corn did we lose, the trouble with the slow crop development. So there's a lot of things here that if you look at the horizon on the crop, you see things that are troubling, and we're not off to a fine start, at least on too many acres we're not. And then you start to think ahead, should we be bearish because the weather's allowing planting to take place on the 16th of June? Should we be bearish because conditions are going to warm and the crop is going to naturally mature and grow and develop and it's going to look better? I don't think so. I think that's a trap, and I think it's especially a trap when you look at where corn prices are in relationship to where they've been. And I'm talking about new crop here. And then when you start to factor in old crop corn, we still have an extremely strong cash market. We have for months. That's never changed. At some point in time, the cash market is going to have to ponder the idea that It's going to be very difficult to get to new crop supplies because too many new crop acres are going to be pushed back by the time they're ready for harvest. That's going to be a threat. The strong cash market could easily create some sort of a panic mode in the cash market that would cause July futures to, I hate to use dramatic words, so I will try not to, but they're going to, the potential for July corn to have some very strong independent move is not an unreasonable possibility. It's not an unreasonable thing to consider or to ponder. And if that theory is true, you know, who wants to be short July corn? I don't think anybody would. I don't think anybody would want to be short July corn. Well, if July corn shouldn't be short, and if July corn is going to have a strong move based on cash markets, who wants to be short Dees corn that's currently trading at, you know, 528? Who wants to be short Dees corn at that? I don't think that sounds very wise either. So I think you look at the horizon here in time, and you have the uncertainty of acreage ahead. You have the always uncertain conditions with a growing season ahead of you. You have acres that are suffering from excessive moisture, slow crop development, etc. This does not look like a good place to be pressing the short side of corn. Now, it might be true that at some point in time you can develop a scenario where corn's maybe worth $4 or $4.50 at harvest time futures. I have no problem with that. That's still a very plausible fundamental scenario. But to get from now till harvest and think that the market is not going to be concerned about any of these conditions that I've pointed out, I think that would be a much more difficult thing to imagine than it is to imagine some sort of recovery rally, some sort of a panic in the old crop corn, some sort of a short covering, a weather scare, an acreage scare, an acreage surprise, whatever it may be. I think it's a lot more easier to imagine those what ifs than a what if scenario that if it just gets better and everything looks great from here forward. To me, that sounds, you know, more unusual than some sort of a concern. The technical condition of the corn market is not conducive to building downside momentum here, in my opinion, and I think that is especially true in the old crop, but I think it's even true in the December new crop as well. So I think you got upside potential here, and I would really guard against embracing early weakness this week based on improving planting condition weather or improving temperature patterns or anything else. I think those are very short-term, short-sighted reasons to be bearish. As far as beans are concerned, if you've been watching the daily comments, you know that I'm basically bearish beans in this up here type of price range, and I think producers need to be aggressively pricing. There's no real change in that. But in the same token, I don't think you're going to get beans to experience a trending lower, building momentum downside push here, even though there's a very legitimate storyline to discuss about that, larger acres and things of this nature, and the idea that later planted dates in the beans don't necessarily have as that much of an impact, or it's not a certainty that they'll have a negative impact on final production. So I think there is a storyline for it to be bearish beans, but here again, I think a guy needs to be cautious about where a guy embraces that bearishness. You know, somewhere between 1250 and 1275 basis November futures, that might be cheap enough throughout all this uncertainty. Somewhere between 1310 and 1330, 1340, we'll take a pick. That's probably too high, but we can have all kinds of volatility and strange price action between those 2 points over the next several weeks, and have really no consistent and clear and confident day-to-day tie-in with any fundamental factor, whether it's the bearish things you're looking at or some bullish weather story that might develop down the road. So I think you've got a lot of choppiness that can take place there. So basically, I think as you look at the overnight weakness here, you talk about bearish factors of weather improving and things of this nature. Just be careful that you put this in context. We still are going to have less corn acres than what we thought at one time. We're not going to get the trend line yield potential that we thought we had at one time. So we can argue about exactly what that figure is, but it's not going to be the best case scenario like the marketplace had talked about at one time. Yet the new crop corn futures are at the bottom side of the range. So I think just be very cautious here, and I think it's legitimate to have a bearish overall opinion, and somewhere down the road you want to have price protection on. But I'm not sure that right now in the corn market that's the stance you want to have here on the 16th day of June. For the DPP grain desk, this has been Duane Lowry. Thank you.